Hi, I'm back again. I was too excited to film a second video. So today I wanted to talk about my insane gaming list, which is part of the reason why I wanted to start the channel in the first place, because I just felt like I really wanted to share it. It's kind of, like I said, it's crazy. I have a lot of games on here, but I don't know. I feel like I have some sort of self-diagnosed OCD or something where I just can't stand not like missing something, or I just have a completionist thing. So every single time I've been watching a lot of YouTubers or stuff online where they talk about a certain game, I'll be like, did I have that on my list? I can't remember. And everybody knows that the Nintendo store is completely garbage, which I think I'll talk about another day. But because it's garbage, I find that I can't, well, there's a limit for I think 300 games you can add on your wish list. So if I had more games, like, I had to write it somewhere, right? So I ended up starting a list, and it was a very short list, and then I started adding more and more to it. So I started with like my Steam wish list, and then I started with my Nintendo list, and then started adding more and more, and then I made it more colorful, and then this is what it is today. So I just wanted to talk about it. I will share the link below so you can use it. The only like small problem is that it is kind of like me-centric. Like, you could use it for kind of ideas that you have, but because like I put my finished games in a certain area, so I guess you could look at it like a way to see what my ratings are for games, but it's also like stuff that I like personally, but most of them are cozy games, and I'll talk about that a bit later. But the multiplayer area is specifically games that I want to play with my husband, so there could be multiplayer games in the to play section right here, but the games that I want to play specific with my husband is in the multiplayer area. So I'll start from the very beginning. First of all, this is all alphabetical order, and then in the categories, like the type, I used to just write adventure or anything like that, but then I found it to be too vague. I don't really remember, since there's hundreds and hundreds, up to 1,000 plus of games on here. I find it very, very difficult to like actually look at each and every one and remember each and every one's names. So I've started making it more specific, like, for example, cat hidden objects, or, you know, puzzle wholesome love story, or sorting puzzle game. And then, for example, I specifically wrote corgi here because if there's a game that has a corgi in it, I really want to play it because I have a corgi myself. Like, even for here I wrote Chibik because that's one of my favorite companies, so it's kind of me-centric, but not really. Like, it gives you a good idea of what it looks like, so, you know, cute, or it has like Ghibli vibes, or, you know, sometimes I just write ARPG, but if I just write point and click, it's almost impossible to know what it is, so that's why I like to, like, now write something. And then for the next section is estimated hours, which I just go to How Long to Beat, which is one of my favorite websites. And then, like, let's do Breath of the Wild. And there's actually 3 sections in this. There's the main story, and then main story plus extra, and then completionist. I would put completionist, but as you can see, completionist is insane, and I feel like that would really stress me out. If there's a game that I really, really, really like to play, I would put completionist, but the time that I put is main and extra, so basically that means main story plus side quests, and I always like to finish the side quest, so for Breath of the Wild I would put 98.5 hours, but a lot of the games you can see here, which actually kind of helps me, is like 35 minutes, so I can, you know, even play multiple games in one day. But yeah, I really, really like the estimated hours section. It's one of my favorites because if I'm like, what do I want to play next, and what do I feel like right now, I can look at the estimated hours and be like, okay, this is a 1 hour game, I can finish it really fast, it's a whole complete package, and I don't have to be stressed out about it, because sometimes this stuff stresses me out. Then the next category, like I said before, is multiplayer. Some of them I did write PvP, but these are games that are multiplayer, which I can play with other people, basically just my husband, but mainly I can just play by myself, so I don't put it in the multiplayer category, like I said. And then the Steam list, most of this says yes. The only ones that don't say yes are like the slashes, which are Nintendo exclusive games, or they're old games like 3DS games that aren't on the Steam list, or they're like MMORPGs, but it's very rare. Like, I'm scrolling down now, there's barely any that aren't on the Steam list, and honestly, I really like the Steam wishlist a lot. It's really good. Compared to Nintendo, it's like you can't even compare. And then must play. I started this list without the must play section, and again, I found it very overwhelming because there were so many games where I was like, I have to play this, I have to remember that I really want to play this, but it was impossible because, like, there's so many. So I actually went through the entire list again a few months ago, and then I started the must play section. So there's actually a yes, and then there's like a yes exclamation mark, which is like I really have to play it, but then it kind of helps me like look at it and say, okay, this is a game that I really want to play, and remind myself. So usually the ones that don't have a yes means that I'll just get it when there's on sale and it's not like something that I have to play. But yeah, so yes and yes exclamation mark. This is future editing, Ari. I just realized that there's something I didn't talk about, which is what games are even in these categories. Like, how do you know you have similar interests to me and you can even use this list? I would say there are some categories that I'm like immediately I'm really into. So if they have like really cozy and cute stuff, then I'm immediately into it. Like really cute graphics, that's usually a must play. I really like story-based games, so if they have a really emotional story, then yes. I usually like not idle games, but stuff like Power Wash Simulator or Unpacking, where you're just like meditative and can play it while you're watching something. I like ARPGs. Usually ARPGs go to the categories for sure. I like adventure games, comedy, so things that are super cute. I really like pixel graphics. That's another must add. Any farming sim, I usually add it, but they're usually not a must play unless they have something different. Yeah, any like fantasy-based stuff, like vampires, stuff like that, I usually like. Yeah, so story-based is really important to me, or like puzzles or anything cute is automatically in the categories. For multiplayer though, stuff that I play with my husband, they're usually more intense because he doesn't like cozy cute games. He does like farming sims, like he was the one who made me play Stardew Valley, so we do play farming sims together. Or I think our favorite games to play together is usually like survival craft, where I can like do stuff in the house and decorate and stuff, and then he can go out and like fight things, so we're kind of doing it together. Like that new Let Go Fortnite game, which is basically like you get to decorate and farm, but also go out and fight things. So that's what Enshrouded is as well. So that's the different categories you can see, and party games is like generic party games. But yeah, mostly it's like ARPGs, puzzle games. That's why I say cozy-ish, because it's mostly cozy, but some stuff isn't because ARPGs usually aren't counted as cozy. And then the next section is the own section. So I removed a few things. Each category has like different columns on the top, so it doesn't have a must play section because I feel like if I bought the game then I have to play it. The main difference for this is console or PC, because I need to remember where I actually purchased something, because there were a few times where I actually purchased something in both places and then like there was no point in doing that. Usually now that I have been playing my Steam Deck, I usually try to buy things on the PC because it's just so much better. That way I like having the achievements, and the Steam Deck is just better in general than the Switch. The only reason why I would buy something on the Switch is if it's like super on sale, or if it's like a good couch co-op game, because Steam Deck is like hard to play on couch co-op. I don't have the TV attachment, so that's why I would buy it there, but most of the games now I buy it on the PC. And then I just play on the Steam Deck preferably. So one of my favorite parts about this section is the fact that I can, so what I like to do is I'll go to like Google and do a random number generator, and then I'll put, give me a random number from 1 to 193, for example, and then it'll give me a random number, and then I'll play that game if I'm in the mood for something random. Usually it's been pretty great in giving me a game that I exactly want. I don't know how it works, it's just magic, and you know, that's exactly what I want. The bolded here is games that I want to play specifically with my husband, so these ones. So basically I bought it, but I want to play it with my husband, so we're waiting. So basically what we do now is I have my own game that I play, and then I have a game that we play together for like couples time. It just depends on what we feel like. Right now we're playing a game called Enshrouded. That's kind of intense for me, so we've paused it for a bit. But I can talk about that another day, because I think I'll do a review of all the games that I've played this year. The next is my most recent category that I've basically just finished. My issue was that there were a lot of series games, and it was confusing, because like I said, I'm a completionist, so I like to complete every series that I start and not just every game. So I've started having this whole series section. It has like the same categories. The biggest difference is that I've highlighted them, so the blue means I own the game. Sorry, the other way around. The blue means that it's a game that's upcoming, so I can't even like play it yet, and then the green means it's a game that I already own. So if you're actually paying attention so far, which I know it's kind of confusing, it makes sense in my head, but I don't know if it makes sense to other people. One of the things is that some things in one list could overlap with another list, and I usually don't do an overlap because then it would get extra confusing. So, for example, Oxenfree is a game that I own, so you would think that it would go in the own category, but I feel like it makes sense for it to all be in a neat package in each series. So the series is kind of an all-encompassing package. But yeah, it has a bunch of games that I want to play, and then multiplayer, same thing, multiplayer, Steam list, must play. Again, if it's something that I already own, then it has to be a must play. The next category is multiplayer, and these are all games that I want to play with my husband. It's not that many, well, 67 is probably a lot for some people. But basically we just go through it and we discuss whether or not we want to actually play it together and what we want to play next. Not only are there multiplayer games that are just multiplayer in general, there are also games that I think that both of us would enjoy, so we basically start the game at the same time and then play it together and then just talk about it. So that wouldn't be in this category because technically it's not a multiplayer game. The next section is upcoming, which is, it makes sense, every game that's upcoming. I have something against playing early access games. In my opinion, they're not full games, so early access games are here too, and then they they graduate onto the to-play category when they're not early access anymore. Another thing I forgot to mention is that for my release dates, I'm not super intense about it, because if I am super intense about it, I would have to Google this all the time. So basically the release dates are when I enter the list, but if it's updated, then I don't really keep looking at the list and see if they're updated. So they say early access, and then I move it out, but the list is usually what I see on Steam. So when it says NYA not yet available, it means that on Steam, the Steam page, it says that there's no release date yet. So question mark means maybe it will be on Steam eventually, but I don't know yet, so the question mark is bright purple to remind myself. And then must play. In this list, I find that most of the games are must play because they're on my looking forward to upcoming list for a reason. So a lot of the games are must play, and then there's a lot of exclamation marks for games that I think are super cute or that I really, really want to play. And then I back a lot of Kickstarters, so there is an owned category even though the games aren't out yet, and basically they just say kick for games that I already own on Kickstarter, so I remind myself not to buy it again when it actually comes out. Unfinished ongoing is games that I played and then never finished, but I still want to finish. So basically, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Bayonetta, I was almost done with it. It says it's multiplayer and what platform it's on, because I think those are the two things that make sense. Some games that I started playing with my husband and then never finished. And then there's the ongoing section for games that will never end, so the Suika game, you just keep getting better and better and better. There's no finish for it. Pokemon Unite is just an online game. Final Fantasy is an online game kind of thing. So Pocket Camp, Animal Crossing, so they're just the ongoing section. And then the next session is the finished/given up section. So I have my ratings. It's really pretty. It's all color coded. I have my rating, and then I have all achievements. So no means I don't have all achievements on Steam, or I didn't finish every single quest or side quest. If I finished every single quest, it would be on this list because that means I finished the game. Yeah, it's just every game that I've played, and then my rating for the game, and then whether or not I got all achievements. And then the next one is the given up. So games that I got tired of playing and I'm never gonna play this again, or I refunded it because the game's not very good. So all of them are on this list. or that I've sold if it's a physical game. So that's this section. And then party games is basically, it's a party game that I want to play when my friends are over or online. So these are all the party games I own on the right, and then yellow means games that I haven't actually played yet. And then on the left is party games that I want to buy eventually because they're good games. And then the very last section is my top list. So I had like a very specific top list in the past, but then the more games I play, the more games that are on my favorites list. So I recently put it into different categories. So like my favorite MMO, my favorite story type game, my favorite strategy game, and I think I will also go into this in another video, but you can see the list here. That's basically it. I just wanted to explain like how I purchase games on Steam. So I'll go on Steam. And the reason why the Steam wishlist part is very important to me is because if it's not on the Steam, I don't know the discounted prices. So I'll go on my wishlist and then I'll sort by discount or price, but discount I think is the best because it tells you what game is the highest discounted. So I'll look here, and then usually if games are like really highly discounted or they're on sale for a lot or something that I want to play, I'll add it to my cart. So like for example, To the Moon right now is $2.59, so that would be a good game to add to my cart. Another one that's $2.59, Tome, A Photo Adventure, is $5. So these are all so good to add to my list. But so I do have like a huge backlog of games that I've played, but it also means that I constantly buy games at a huge discount. So you would think that a 1,100 game wish list is insane, but I also buy games at a heavy discount all the time. It's rare that I do buy games at full price, but it's like if there's a lot of hype going on or if it's something that I've been waiting for a long time, that's when I buy it at full price. But I think that's it. I'm probably gonna think of something else, but I will sign off for now, and let me know what your thoughts are about my insane list, and feel free to use it as much as possible. I have a link, like I said, and sometimes I feel like I enjoy making this list more than actually gaming because it gives me the same endorphins, you know? So sometimes I just feel like sitting down and just looking up video games, and you know, that's why I like reading video game magazines and looking at video game culture a lot. So just talking about games and putting it on my list makes me really happy, and sometimes that's all I do for an evening instead of actually playing games. I know that's probably crazy for some people, but you know, it makes me happy, so that's all that matters. Okay, I will sign off for now, and thank you for watching my video.